You think you have a solid idea for a screenplay, but you need to get from idea to finished draft. So where do you start? And we're going to assume you have a solid and marketable idea, which is a critical component. And if you don't know how to do that, I've got other videos that talk about that. But for now, let's assume you've got a solid and marketable idea. In other words, the idea is clear and coherent and could be told in a movie, and it's marketable enough that someone would be interested in spending money to make it come to life on the screen. So it's this point where you're at. And what do? How do you start? And you have to keep it simple. As simple as 1-3, 1-3, 1-3. Imagine you've got a timeline, and at the beginning is the germ of the idea, the first inkling, and at the other end is the polished, finished draft you are sharing with others. Now there's a lot that happens in between those 2 points, but most aspiring writers want to jump from having a clear idea and image in their mind and creating a character, and then they just want to start writing the film. And if you're doing this for a hobby, I mean, that's cool, knock yourself out. But if you want to make a real go of the screenwriting thing, or really any professional writing, you have to do what's called breaking the story. And there are a ton of ways to do this, but it is something you should be doing before you start scripting. And the reason is, when you want to do this professionally, you don't have time to waste writing hundreds of pages trying to figure out your story. You need to figure out your story before you start scripting, and so you break the story. And the 1-3, 1-3, 1-3 method is as simple as it gets. One sentence. Write your story in one sentence. This really should follow the template of what a story is, which I talk about a lot. Someone who wants something badly, who's having trouble getting it, and they get it or they don't. Just fill in the blanks and make one sentence. Then 3 sentences. The one sentence is basically the second act. So you can write one sentence for Act 1, one sentence for Act 2, which is basically what you already wrote, and one sentence for Act 3. So let me demonstrate this with Armageddon. Here's the one sentence. Harry Stamper and his team of deep core drillers must travel to an asteroid on a collision course with Earth and drill a hole deep enough to detonate a nuke and destroy the asteroid before it collides with Earth and kills literally everything. So that's one sentence. Well, here it is in 3 sentences. When NASA discovers a rogue asteroid on a collision course with Earth that threatens to destroy all life, they come up with a solution of sending a team to the asteroid to drill a hole and detonate a nuke. So they get Harry Stamper and his hand-selected team of deep core drillers to travel to the asteroid and drill the hole. But after complications from the trip and the atmosphere of the asteroid, one of the team must stay behind and manually detonate the nuke, which will save the Earth, but will cost the team member their life. And that's it. You're figuring out the story one piece at a time. So that's the first 1-3. And then we go to the next 1-3, paragraphs. Take your 3 sentences and take that and now write one paragraph, maybe 6 or 7 sentences. And what you're going to do is give more bones to the story. What are the obstacles that will be overcome? You know, the whole having trouble getting it part. And that's actually how most people deal with the one paragraph. They basically keep the first and third sentence of the 3 sentences piece, but they add in a few sequences that basically become additional sentences. So here's Armageddon in one paragraph. It would be something like this. When NASA discovers a rogue asteroid on a collision course with Earth that threatens to destroy all life, they come up with a solution of sending a team to the asteroid to drill a hole and detonate a nuke. So they ask Harry Stamper, a world-renowned deep core driller, to help them. But Harry wants his own team and must first convince a bunch of deep core drillers to go into outer space with him. And then they all must pass NASA's rigorous protocols for being sent into space in the first place. But that's just the beginning. And now the team has to actually land safely on the asteroid, and NASA sends 2 teams to have a better shot. But one shuttle is destroyed, and the other fights against elements never before encountered to get to the target depth of 800 feet. And once they make their depth, they discover a problem, and someone must stay behind to manually detonate the nuke. And after a scuffle, Harry places himself in the position to detonate the nuke, which will save the Earth, but will cost Harry his life. And you can see as this goes on, the story is getting more and more refined, but you aren't writing pages and pages and pages, only to discover what your story really is when you're 80 pages in. You've only written one sentence, then 3 sentences, then 1 paragraph, and now 3 paragraphs. And the same generally holds true. With the one, focus on the second act, primarily the second act. So the 1 sentence, focus on the second act. The 1 paragraph, focus mostly on the second act. But with the 3, have each of the 3 things reflect each of the acts. So 3 sentences reflects 3 acts. 3 paragraphs reflects 3 acts. Each paragraph is an act. And after that, up your 1 to 3 to pages. So first your 1 page, fill out the whole page, keep what you have, but expand. Again, when you're doing a 1, focus on the second act, then progress to the 3. Okay, so you've got 1 paragraph, you progress to 3 paragraphs, you now write 1 page, then progress to 3 pages, and have each page be an act, or as much as you need. You can write more than 3 pages, okay? You don't have to limit yourself, but what you're doing is you're building the story in a way that makes sense. You can track with what's happening, you're not getting sidetracked on all the subplots and little things that distract you, and this ensures that you have a solid story from beginning to end, and you aren't going to wander all over the place. And once you get through the 1-3, 1-3, 1-3, okay, well now it's time to start outlining, and you'll have the big gist of what your script is about. And now you can really start fleshing it out and planning out your script. And doing it this way will make your writing much faster and much more efficient. And if you ever get stuck, you'll have your 1-3s to come back to as a reference and be like, oh, what was I thinking here? And it doesn't mean you have to exactly track with what you planned either. Things happen once you start writing, but you will have a plan. And if you have a plan, you have a much higher shot of hitting your mark than if you don't. And if you want to be a professional writer, you have to plan and work on this. If you want my help with your writing, there are links below that can help. If you want to learn about one way to outline, watch this. Thank you for watching, and be sure to hit all the buttons, which really helps me out. And when you tell a story, 1-3, 1-3, 1-3, and tell a story that matters. See you later.